Hey there guys, Ash here with a very, very special interview. Two people on the line here right now, Christopher Khayman Lee and DJ Rivers, here to talk about Bloodline of the Grid. First question, how are you guys today? How's quarantine been?
It's thrilling. It's exciting every day. It's a brand new adventure every 24 hours.
I'll tell you what, it's been good. It's been fun. It's been a lot of time to reevaluate and think and eat all your snacks. So it's been nice.
Yeah. So next up is, without giving too much away, what can you tell us about Bloodline of the Grid, and how did you guys get involved with it?
Literally nothing. We can tell you nothing at all. Not even who's involved with it. I don't know who gave you this phone number.
So that's the official answer. I'll smooth it out a little bit. He's not entirely wrong. We can't give out too much away. However, concept-wise, I feel like this is something that's been in the works for a little bit. Timing is everything. Development-wise, it's everything. And then once the stars aligned, it was one of those things where, we should absolutely just do it. Chris had it in his head. And, Chris is a very passionate artist in terms of, like, storylines and characters. And, we just there's so much love for his season in space that, from here and there, we just really talked about, the next chapter of the in-space characters.
It's honestly, this thing has been bouncing around for several years, and it's just we needed the right the right vehicle to get things moving, and it wasn't until very recently that that vehicle presented itself, and you know what, we are getting up and going with it right now. So yeah, that's how we're doing, baby.
Cool. So what was the inspiration, and how did, so you had the idea, how did the idea come to mind with the storyline and the characters and stuff like that, without giving too much away, like I've said earlier, since it's very top secret at the moment?
Actually, the inspiration is I'm going to just go ahead and say it's very, very simple. And that is that I grew up as a kid as a huge fan of Star Wars. And my series in space was already basically borderline plagiarism for Star Wars. I mean, when we were shooting it, they really weren't holding that much back. They were just like, screw it, we're just going to do this.
Hey, fun fact, TJ has a line in space that says, we're going to the Dagobah system.
Yeah. I remember that.
And the thing is that I remember that episode, and I remember looking at the at the script when we got that one. Not only does he say, "Yeah, we got to go down to the Dagobah system," but it's also spelled the exact same way that Dagobah was spelled for The Empire Strikes Back. So, like, we really were just doing that show. It was basically like, I really hope George Lucas does not see this shit, because he is going to sue the hell out of us.
I love that you guys were still under the Fox banner at the time too. So
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. Right? Doing this whole this brand new project, the Bloodline of the Grid, it's all for me. It was all born out of Star Wars, and a million years ago, when the idea was actually presented to me, it was a bit of a what if scenario. What if you look at it like this? What if you look at what happened during your season like that? Yada yada and all that. And the fact that our series was already, like I said, Star Wars plagiarism, it just really it melded, it meshed with that so perfectly.
Yeah.
I'll pick back off of that a little bit. And the thing about it is, his season had some of the most iconic characters, I feel, and some of the most interesting storylines. And it was still in that time frame where the storylines did matter, the characters did matter. They had good orchestrated music. They had great plot devices. Even his relationship with his sister Corone, Astronema, the unique relationship with Ecliptor, and even like the subtle implications as far as there's something deep seated rooted with Ecliptor versus Andros, and Ecliptor having such an affinity for Astronema as his daughter, and just the greater good having the balance of good versus evil in the balance of space. There was so many sky's the limit, and I feel like Extended Universe has offered a huge platform in terms of the what if, including the Boom comic series, including fan series, including some of the what if scenarios, especially because, you know, Chris knows his characters. Like he loves these characters and he loves his fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is one of those things where that what if became, should we do this? And they ended up, you know what? We need to do this.
We need to. Yeah.
So, 2 surprise questions since we're on the topic of Power Rangers and Star Wars. Have you
Oh no!
Here's a heavy loaded question for Star Wars. Sequel trilogy or prequel trilogy right now?
Ooh, I'll let Chris go first.
Neither. Both of them suck. I was born in 1978. The first movie I ever saw in my life in the theater was Return of the Jedi. So
really?
It was the very first movie I ever saw. My cousins took me to see Return of the Jedi. I was 4 years old. And my cousin Johnny said that he looked over at me while we were watching it, and you're not going to be able to see this reaction, but DJ will see it. He said that I actually was watching it like this.
Okay, so for those of us listening, Chris is making a very my OMG emoji expression.
Yeah, my jaw was like all the way down to my knees watching it, because what I was watching was Muppets that were real life, and because, you know, even at 4 years old, I mean, what was I watching on TV? I was watching Sesame Street. I was watching The Muppet Show. I was watching Fraggle Rock. I was watching things like that, and to me, they were all real. Mm-hmm. So when I saw Return of the Jedi, I was floored. My brain was just gone. I was just like, oh my god, these things actually exist. Holy shit, what is going on here? So, to me, the original series is the only one that truly exists.
Yep.
I do not really care at all with what they did with the prequels. I don't feel, and this is just me, but I feel like it was kind of stabbed in the back to those of us that are fans of the original series. And then when they did the sequel series, I really liked the first one. What was it? The Force Awakens?
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I liked that. That was good. I didn't feel like it was great, but I felt like it was good. You know, it was good. And then I saw, what was the second one? The Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi.
And then I swore to myself I will never watch another Star Wars movie ever again.
Yikes.
Because that was, that was an insult to me. They turned Star Wars into a 4.5 hour long episode of Seinfeld, and I was not interested whatsoever. So, because of that, I've never watched
The Rise of Skywalker.
I've never watched it. I have no intention of ever watching it. But I did watch. I did see Rogue One, and I saw the Solo movie, and I thought both of them were good. And I know a lot of people don't really like the Solo movie, and I have no idea why. I thought it was good. I thought the guy that was young Han Solo, he did a great job. I thought the guy that was young Lando, he did a great job. Stop breaking things, Kat. That's kind of where I'm at. Where that is.
I'll make mine simple. So to me, I'm a little bit more not. I don't know if forgiving is the right word, but I have certain appreciations for Star Wars, the universe, right? So if I had to pick one, I would absolutely pick prequels in terms of it at least aligning with the core story. The sequels, to me, fell apart because you can tell they were making it up as they went along. That's my biggest thing about the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is done better in terms of cinematography, in terms of effects.
Visually, it looks great.
And in terms of set design, it's amazing to look at. Anybody who tells you otherwise, they're crazy. But the prequel trilogy, at least, it wasn't everything I thought it was going to be. However, I do have a deep appreciation in terms of, you know what? We at least got the story of Anakin. We did get the Duel of the Fates. We did have the Duel of Mustafar. It was cartoony. It's definitely made some of the best memes in internet culture, I'll tell you that. Yeah. But in general, the OG trilogy is still the greatest of all time. The prequel trilogies are worthy in terms of it has its place. And the sequel trilogy, I get it. And that's kind of my response to it is like, I get it. It's for the new generation. I did think The Force Awakens was well done. It was a ripoff from A New Hope. Yeah. And then everything else was just kind of like, I'm going to still watch Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan. Now, certain Star Wars is better than others. The Clone Wars, the cartoon, is amazing. I'll tell you that right now. Rogue One is great.
That's a great movie.
Solo is solid.
It's a good movie.
Solo is solid.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I understand the criticisms just because, I feel like as an artist, you have to be a little, at least understand where people are coming from, regardless if you agree or not. But answer your question, prequels, sequels I get, but OG trilogy all the way.
Yeah.
Cool.
My number one movie ever, if anybody ever asks me what's your favorite movie, I don't even need like a quarter of a second to think about it, it's The Empire Strikes Back. That's my favorite movie of all time.
It's definitely the best Star Wars movie of all time, for sure.
Easily. So, yeah.
And now I just want to have a question that leads into another question after hearing that. So what was your Empire Strikes Back? That's your like inspiration for filmmaking and doing stuff like this. That's for sure.
I don't know about that. It's just, to me, it's certainly my inspiration for everything Star Wars. That's the way, to me, that's the best way to look at it, because you take all the good guys and you put them in the absolute worst position that they could possibly be in, and the whole point of the movie is what is the follow-up. And fortunately, the follow-up was teddy bears. Not the most solid follow-up, but Return of the Jedi, it was still okay. It was good.
Yep. And the second question that was unscripted is, what do you think of the Boom Studio comics? Because your character, Chris, had a role in one of the story arcs, a big role. And did you end up reading that story arc or checking it out?
Yeah, I've looked through it. I write my own comics, so
cool.
It's kind of a thing where it's like I don't read a lot of other comics, because to me it's like, oh god, what's the competition doing? I don't want to think about that. I write my own comics that have nothing to do with Power Rangers, so it's a totally different thing. But I would give Boom Studios a good deal of respect for what they're trying to do, and the fact that they even brought my series back, like, out of the ashes, and just like, hey, let's focus a little bit on what's going on with these space kids and all that. What are they doing and all that? Like, that to me was like, wow, that's really cool that they're gonna do that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Boom Studios, and I feel like it is that fan effort. You know what I mean? Like, not to talk about Star Wars again, but it's one of those things where the new trilogy was announced. You saw the video games, you saw the expanded novels, you saw the different comics, and there's so much care taken with these characters and the world building. So it's fascinating to see the property in different people's hands, and that's what Boom Studio does.
Yep.
They take the property, and whether you're directly a Power Ranger fan or not, they revitalize the stories. They revitalize that world and universe. So you take the what ifs and just completely flesh it out, and it goes beyond just rubber suits and monsters and big mechs to this is a space opera. This is storylines. This is the arcs and sagas of this franchise, and they've done a great job putting that energy into this world building.
Yeah. Because talking about Star Wars, the sequel comic that we got, Power Rangers: The Psychopath, a lot of fans on social media and online and stuff sort of felt the same way about the Star Wars trilogy, because I don't know if you guys read it, but they sort of dove down the path of the Psycho Rangers and made them more human and made you care about the characters, and a lot of people felt mixed about that because they were just monsters of the day. No one knew if they had backstories or not, and in this comic they made them more human, so that's what a lot of people felt mixed about, but that's a discussion for another day. I get the feeling.
Sure.
Well, I want to jump in really fast and ask you, Psycho who? I've never heard of these people. What are you talking?
Oh yeah, who are those guys?
Okay, Chris.
I gotta tell you right now, Patrick. Patrick is one of my very close friends. I love Patrick.
He plays the Red Psycho Ranger.
He was Psycho. And he was actually when he and I when the comic came out, he actually called me up and he was like, "They gave me a name," and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I have a name now," and I was like, "Oh," and he was like, "Yeah, my name is Virgil," and I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
Okay.
He's like, "Is it?"
Oh, wow, all right, cool, all right. He was very actually. He was really he was pretty stoked about that. So Patrick is very funny because he actually in a way he reminds me very much of Melody. Both of them playing very on the show playing very evil, over the top characters, and in reality they couldn't be anything farther from that. They are such teddy bears, both of them, Melody and Patrick. They are like literally the sweetest people in the world. So.
And I felt like they gave their characters a lot of life too, especially Melody. Mm-hmm. Melody was a great astronomer. She transitioned to her own, and she is probably one of the first. I mean, you did have to read the Repulsas, and then you had your Diva Talks, but she came in like a wrecking ball. She came in on the first episode, and you immediately are just like, this young, very attractive woman with this elaborate wig is dangerous with a staff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a cool vice. And speaking of Patrick, I mean, the fact of the matter is the Psycho Rangers probably had one of the coolest arcs.
Yes.
And in Power Rangers, period. I mean, we've seen a handful of evil Rangers, but the Psycho Rangers were a threat. They were vicious. It took a lot to take them down, and Psycho Pink did technically take down one of the Rangers in Lost Galaxy. Yep. So they were nothing to mess with. But speaking of Patrick, that same love, don't be surprised if we may or may not be in talks with the guy making an appearance in Bloodline of the Grid.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So Nerdbot Studios is involved with this from what I've been seeing on social media. What's it like been working with them?
I'm sorry, who? Never heard of them.
Stop.
I can't.
Stop. No, we're very grateful to Nerdbot Studios. Matter of fact, I don't mean to take it away from you, Chris.
No. We're over the moon to be working with them. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So with Nerdbot Studios, here's the thing. I was familiar with Nerdbot Studios for a while now, and they, to me, are one of the biggest contributors to fandoms and nerd fandoms and pop culture fandoms. So a huge shout out to Elvin, who's the head of Nerdbot, because before Nerdbot, Elvin himself is a good dude. He is the kind of person, like, if you didn't know what he did, you would never know what he did. Some people, especially here in LA and Los Angeles, they wear their accomplishments as their introduction, like, hey, I'm this, I run this, I have this in the works, these are my projects, blah, blah, blah. Elvin is the exact opposite of that. So Chris had mentioned earlier in terms of the timing being right and the vehicle being right. Nerdbot Studios is that vehicle.
Yeah.
It really, their ideas lines up with Chris's.
Yep.
Their ideas line up with the project and the energy putting towards it. And you know, you can work with individuals, and it may or may not work. Nerdbot Studios is absolutely that platform to make this happen, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
Elvin is a big cuddle bug. I put that out there.
He is a big cuddle bug.
He's
yes.
a big cuddle bug. I also do want to put out there really fast before we go any further that a lot of this, the whole thing behind this, it was first presented to me some years ago by two people, Rando and his girlfriend Kat. They're the ones that kind of hit me with a what if scenario, and I'm not going to go too much into what that what if scenario is. I don't want to like give things away, but I do want to make sure that credit is given where credit is due, and the idea behind the storyline for Bloodline of the Grid really was born with Rando and Kat like talking to me and like hitting me up at a convention out of nowhere and just like bringing up this question, you know, hey, Chris, what do you think about if blah 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 blah, and then like it bounced around in my head for a good while. And yeah, that's kind of where this thing, it just like, it snowballed, you know, it just came in out of nowhere, and this whole thing just became a big avalanche of awesome.
Okay. So they approached you. Hello?
Sorry?
So they approached you first, or was it a collab effort?
So essentially the way it happened is, so big shout out to Rando and Kat. And as Chris mentioned before, it was one of those things as far as, you know, again, just being a fan of Power Rangers and a fan of that season, it's just explore unexplored territories where, well, what if your character kept on going? Where do you see it happening? And through conversations and just through evolution of that dialogue, it is one of those. It was the seed that got planted for it to evolve to what it is today. And then obviously we got the people involved who's involved in it. Even when I was approached with it, and what it came, kind of got started with this what if proposal, and then we started fleshing it out.
Yeah. It really kind of sucks right now that we I really want to just tell you everything about it, but we can't really do that because you know we don't want to give away too much before before people get to see what we've been doing, but
patience is a virtue. I will say that
patience is a virtue, but I am telling you that it is literally eating me up inside.
So, will we see any familiar faces from Power Rangers history? From what I've seen on social media, there's a guy, you might know him, Justin Nemo. He's involved with it. Don't know if you've heard of. Yeah, I don't know who he is. I think he was in Power Rangers or something, but
He sounds
but will we see any familiar faces involved with the project?
I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to just say yes. We will see at least one, possibly two, or maybe 35.
Wow.
Somewhere in between that number range, 1 and 35.
I'm going to leave it as I'm going to take that answer and chalk it up as a solid maybe.
Okay, cool. Do I have any more questions? Okay, so this is the last question. We're nearly at the final frontier. Where can we find you guys on social media, and where can we look for Bloodline of the Grid when it drops in eventually?
You want to start?
Sure. So you can find all news about Bloodline for right now on Nerdbot Studios. You can find them on Instagram under Nerdbot Studios. So that's where we're promoting it. Chris is pushing out the updates and content as well on his social media, which he'll drop in a minute. Mm-hmm. And you can find me, DJ Rivers, on Instagram at DJ dot, like the period, DJ dot two dot Rivers,
Yep.
or just look for DJ Rivers. I have a face.
I'll definitely have all your social medias in the description down below so people can check you out and find you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. But in terms of when Bloodline drops, and once we start releasing footage and content and just trailers, you can find that on both Nerdbot Studios Instagram, but also Nerdbot Studios YouTube as well. And we'll be sure to keep you up to date, anyways, with all the new news.
So before we wrap this thing up, any final words you want to say?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to toggle off it, you know, this is all platforms on social media as far as where we're announcing this stuff. So that's just Instagram. But if you're on Facebook, some people are still on Facebook. We do have a few fan pages as well. So there's Christopher Khayman Lee. Mm-hmm. But we also have a fan page for the show as well, Bloodline of the Grid. So if you search Bloodline of the Grid, look for the fan page, it should come up. You will see Chris's beautiful face as the reintroduced Andros / Red Raider, which is, and same thing like Chris said, the Red Raider concept is really cool.
It sounds awesome. That's what got my attention when I first made the video on it, when I saw it on social media.
So Chris is not necessarily a fan of the phrase or the term anti-hero, but let's just say, but you know, Chris is Chris. But let's just say, I don't think you'll be disappointed as far as seeing where the journey goes, but also seeing, you know, where the expectations get subverted. And again, you guys saw the first glimpse. I love seeing some of the comments, and you know, it's like, oh, what's happening to his face? Is it Kano? Is it Terminator? Yeah. And then finally, people started seeing the tagline, the heir to Ecliptor has risen, and then certain people started connecting the dots. Like, no, wait, is this eyepiece Ecliptor? And I'm not going to comment if it is or not, but you know, there's specific choices. If you look at the costume design, there's very specific things and details you'll find in there.
But all those people are totally wrong, because we're just going to do this as Mortal Kombat, and yes, I'm becoming Kano.
And I'm clearly Luke Cage, so it's all
good. He's there you go. Yeah, it's a Mortal Kombat crossover.
It's multiverse. It's fine.
We're all over the place with it.
So, any final words before we wrap this thing up?
Watch our trailer when it comes out.
We want to say thank you guys for all the love and support.
Yes.
We are thrilled beyond words as far as all the love and the encouragement and just the excitement that we see off of you guys, and we feel it. We see it. You know what I mean? It makes us want to push out great quality content when we do release it. And we do appreciate, you know, people like you, Ash, that's taking the time to generate the interest, because we do think there are great storylines to tell. Mm-hmm. We do feel like we want to do it justice, and you know, just stay excited, because I think there's going to be some cool stuff coming up.
It's going to be very Star Warsy.
It's going to be Star Wars.
Okay, so I think that wraps things up. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, DJ, for coming on the channel and talking with me. Very much appreciated, because if you told this to me 20 years ago that I'd be talking to the guy that played Andros in Power Rangers in Space, my child self probably wouldn't believe me. Like, this is like a dream come true for me, so thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Alright. Thank you so much, and for everyone still watching this video or stuck around to the end, be sure to check out Bloodline on the Grid on the social medias listed down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, and thanks for watching.